Today I'm going to be discussing the progressed moon in astrology. So what this is it is a predictive tool that is used, and so it's used in predictive astrology. So let's just talk about the moon first of all. What is the moon? Well, it's only one of the luminaries that shines at night. The moon provides a gentle light to night. And so if the sun comes out in the daytime and it's bright and it's warm, it represents our ego and our sense of inner power and strength and vitality. It gives warmth. It is really how we shine as individuals out into the world. The sun is also very masculine, and the moon is more internal. It's very, very feminine. It looks at us going into reflection. The moon deals with every single one of us going inside of ourselves and going into our inner world. And it deals with our deep feelings. The moon is it deals with our innermost feelings, our emotions that we feel from the outside world, and the circumstances, events, and people, and how they act and how they respond, and how they go about their lives, and how we interact with them, and certain things that happen that cause us to have emotions. But there's a difference between emotions and feelings. Feelings come from us internally only. And emotions are what we feel based off of external events. So the moon is how we react to circumstances. It is unconscious. It deals with our unconscious tendencies and emotional habit patterns. It's also very irrational as well. So that's sort of the flavor of what the moon is about. So how we react to circumstances. Now, what's interesting is that the moon is opposite Saturn, and Saturn knocks on our door and tells us and invites us to respond to those circumstances. Saturn says, well, we need to show some maturity about this. And we need to think logically and practically and pragmatically. However, the moon is just what it is. It's just who we are. It's just our emotions. So how we react. Our instincts, that tells us, what we need to do, where we need to go, what is right and what is wrong. This feels right or it doesn't feel right. This is where I need to go at this particular time. So it is instinctual. It is primal. It is sort of, I want to think of the moon as our animal self, our true self, beyond any ego or anything that we put on, which is our sun sign. And we put on our clothes and we put on, our little outfits, and we go out into the world and act out and show ourselves and care about our image and how people see us. But then the moon is really who we are if everyone were to go away, who we are at night, because the moon comes out at night. It is just our real, true, raw nature of who we are on an emotional level. What we need for emotional security as well. That's also dealing with the moon. And I'm explaining this because it's imperative to know what the moon is about when understanding the progressed moon, especially when you tie it in to the aspects, the signs, the houses. But what we need for emotional security is related with the moon, because it deals with what we need for comfort, our need for stability, security, how we need to be nurtured and taken care of and loved and held and appreciated and taken care of, respected for who we are, on an emotional level. It's how we give, it's how we care for others on an emotional level, and it's how we want to receive. The moon deals with, well, I'm receiving this energy from you. I'm receiving these feelings and these vibrations from you on the external level. Because the moon sort of takes that information, takes that stimulus, takes those events, and internalizes it, personalizes it, takes it in, and feels it, on a deep level. And maybe where that lands in your consciousness can be related to whatever sign or house or aspects that your moon is making in your natal chart. So what we need for our emotional security, our intuition as well, that's also something related to the moon and what goes beyond the words. The moon does not rule the air signs. It is not intellectual. It's not a thinking luminary. It is what we're feeling that goes beyond the words. I think of dogs and animals, how they communicate to us, not through words, not through their head, not through a filter. It is real and raw and authentic. And I think that we can have very deep emotional bonds with dogs, especially. And so, I think of that. Our real and raw self is related to the moon. Now, the moon also corresponds to women. Nurturing is very feminine. It corresponds to the waves. Think of the ocean waves or the waves of emotion. And the whole spectrum of emotions that we're feeling. It rules Cancer. It also corresponds to the 4th house. So with all that information in mind, what is the progressed moon about? Well, think of, you were born with your natal chart as a screenshot of the sky of who you are, because your natal chart is a blueprint of who you are when you were born. Who are you meant to become, and how are you meant to evolve and grow in this life? Who are you meant to be? What is your personality like? That's also very much related to the moon. Related to your natal chart. Deals with your spiritual destiny and evolution and your soul agreements. That my soul signed up to do this in this lifetime, and this is the chart that I have as a sort of vehicle to get myself to that place of evolution, because this is what I signed up for to experience in this lifetime. So you were born with certain planets in certain signs, in certain houses, making certain aspects. However, 1 year upon another, those planets move in your chart. It's kind of funny how it works. So if your moon sign is in Libra like mine when you were born, 2.5 years later it would shift into Scorpio. 2.5 years later it would shift into Sagittarius, and so on and so forth. So the progressed moon, in terms of a cycle, goes around all 12 signs, all 12 houses, for the same length of time that Saturn spends in a given zodiac sign, which is 2.5 years. It takes 28 to 29 years for the moon to return to the same degree, to the same sign and house as it is in in your natal birth chart when it comes to a progressed moon. And it spends about, I would say, 29 months in a given sign. Yeah, I'm not quite sure about those technical details. I think the progressed moon switches degrees every month. So 1 month your progressed moon is at 0 degrees when it enters, and the next month it's 1 degree, and so on until you get to the very end and you get to the anaretic culmination 29th degree, where you're sort of reviewing and you're reflecting and you're putting an end to all of the lessons and experiences that you have had over that progressed lunar transit. So the progressed moon deals with the emotional, intuitive, and instinctual phase that you're currently in. It deals with your, sort of phase that you're in. When it comes to the moon, moon ruled matters, emotions, instincts, nurturing, all those things are sort of, you could boil that down and you can apply that to whatever phase that you are at a certain time. So, I'm going to logo right myself when I do these videos. So, yeah. So, say that your progressed moon is in Aries, then that's sort of the emotional phase that you would be working with. The emotional sort of period in your life. You'd be more outgoing, feeling more assertive, wanting to pioneer, wanting to initiate, wanting to go after whatever goal that you have. Not afraid to stand your ground, stand on your own 2 feet, be the independent, authentic you that you can be. And so if your progressed moon is in Taurus, it's really, really different. You're feeling more stable and more steady. It's time to ground into the earth plane. You're more grounded, where, structure and taking your time and, slowing down and enjoying the simple pleasures and going slow and steady. And achieving your goals in that kind of earthy way, with doing that, hard work that is going to lead for long-term results, is very much related to the progressed moon in the sign of Taurus. So it all depends on the sign that your progressed moon is in. The progressed moon moves 12 degrees per year. So again, moves, that means that every single month it moves 1 degree. And the progressed moon deals with, really the emotional temperature or temperament, or, it really comes down to the emotional lessons and themes you'll be dealing with over the course of 2.5 years. Get used to whatever sign it's in, because it's going to last that long. So it deals with the sort of the posture or the temperature or the emotional role that you will play for 2.5 years. The progressed moon deals with how you need to emotionally grow and evolve over that 2.5 year period. You're at a certain stage of evolution now, but what kind of sign are you going to grow into? That you're sort of given a sign for 2.5 years to learn the lessons of and establish a sense of security and a sanctuary, and really feel at home with that particular sign. You're getting used to and working with that particular energy over the next 2.5 years, over the course of those 2.5 years, and you're mastering that sign. And so this is not an overnight process. It's very gradual. It takes maybe some pain, or hardships, especially with the progressed moon in the Scorpio, progressed moon in the sign of Scorpio, which might involve a lot of releasing, a lot of letting go, transformation, all those kind of things. It may require you, if you have the progressed moon in Scorpio, to really face some deep shadows within your soul, and to do that shadow work, and to face the unknown, and to feel those feelings, and to let go of those old ways of being that don't serve you. So it's all relative to whatever sign that it's in. So you're sort of, just like Saturn spends 2.5 years in the sign, you're growing, you're, maturing. Just like, wine that spends a certain amount of time in an attic, and it sort of ages. You're aging when the progressed moon is in a given sign. So much can be learned from this. So the element, sign, and house placement of your progressed moon definitely is important. So you want to calculate the sign of your progressed moon. I'll put a link to a progressed moon calculator in the description below for you to go and put in the year, the date, and time of your birth, and set it to now, or set it to preferably the current time, today or whenever you're watching this video. So if you're watching this video today, you would set it for August 13th, 2023, in whatever place that you're currently living at as well, whatever time that is, is currently, you're currently on. And then you would put that through a calculator, and you would be able to find the progressed moon sign. You study the characteristics and traits of that sign. You're sort of stepping into the qualities of that sign. You're sort of becoming and acting like someone who has that sign, or you're embodying the characteristics and traits of that sign. So studying the sign and house placement of your progressed moon, and also looking to the aspects that it's making to planets and other points in your chart. So if it is making a lot of positive aspects, then it's going to be a more beneficial period in your life, with a lot of upheavals, very easy energy. Things seem to flow, like if there's, if it's making trines, and it's very flowing, it's very relaxing, very harmonious energy, which you can really take advantage of. And the sextiles work the same way. And conjunctions are similar to that, where it really puts an emphasis on what the progressed moon is aspecting in terms of the other planets and points in your chart. If it's making a lot of difficult aspects like squares and oppositions, then you may be in for a rougher ride, but that may require you to really get your gloves on, your boots strapped up, and to do some more hard, more difficult emotional work, because those oppositions and squares represent obstacles, challenges, divides, conflict, and tension, which may require you to really face the truth of what is not working, and do the hard work to make those changes, and to improve and move your life in a much more positive direction. That may involve getting out of your comfort zone, and may involve, again, hard work that may not be easy, and there may be a part of you that may not be willing to do it. However, this is really what you're being called upon to do during that particular time in your life with regards to your progressed moon. So the aspects are super important. So the progressed moon deals with the attitude shift in our lives and what we are emotionally attracted to, what kinds of people or circumstances we're emotionally drawn to for emotional security, and how we want to be nurtured and taken care of and loved through those particular times, in our emotional nature, how we react, how we're feeling, how we are going about the world from an emotional standpoint, and what we need and want on an emotional level, and how sort of our emotional temperament is distinct and specific given the sign that it's in. So what we're emotionally drawn to corresponds with that. So the cycles of the progressed moon, notice just like the moon corresponds to the waves, how things come in rhythms, things come in cycles. So the moon corresponds to our moods and how they fluctuate and bend and ebb and flow and alter from outward to inward. You're feeling more outward in a given 2.5 year cycle. If it's in Aries, you want to get out into the world and achieve what you want to achieve and pursue your dreams and initiate and think about yourself and your life and your future, and really take the lead of your own life in the outer world. And when it shifts into Taurus, you're more inward, because earth and water are the more feminine elements, and then fire and air are masculine. So the progressed moon for 2.5 years is in a feminine or a masculine sign, and then it shifts to feminine. You're feeling more reflective. You're feeling more inward. You want to spend more time at home, probably nurturing yourself, taking care of yourself, cleansing your energy, replenishing your energy, possibly doing self-care. You're more tuned inward to your emotional nature, to your unconscious desires and needs, and those kind of things. So for masculine, which is action, doing, what are the results, all those kind of things, like making things happen, to feminine, which is more receptive. I'm receiving this information, I'm receiving this love, this nurturing, this care from the external world. And again, with feminine energy, it is reflective energy. So notice the change of how you feel on an emotional level when the progressed moon enters a masculine sign and then a feminine sign. Masculine, feminine. From fire to earth to air to water. And so the element of the sign of your progressed moon also matters. Because if it's in fire, then you could be feeling more passionate, more, outgoing, more ambitious, more courageous. You want to, do things, take action, all those kind of things. You're feeling more blunt and honest. If it's in earth, you're feeling more grounded. You want to be more pragmatic, more slow and steady. You want to set emotional foundations and structures that are long-lasting. You want results. You want to put your time and energy into doing the practical work and deal with the details and what needs to be done on the practical plane. If it's an air, then communication, verbalizing your feelings, networking, socialization with other people, thinking, speaking, writing, all those things are going to have a focus. And then the progressed moon in water signs is more, reflective, emotional, and, all those kind of things that I'm speaking about now. So notice the element of your progressed moon as well. So the progressed moon also corresponds to what you are most sensitive to, and what are you most, reactive to. I think of when it comes to water, you tap on a glass of water and you see movement in the water, that it's so sensitive to what is going on externally. It's very reactive. So what sort of gets you riled up or has you more sensitive, more reactive, and gets you feeling more emotional? And what kinds of things specifically are you internalizing? And what is valuable to you, and what matters to you on an emotional level? All these kinds of things, what do you want to take care of and nurture on an emotional level? All these kind of issues matter here. But going back to what you are most sensitive to, it corresponds to what you are most emotionally attuned to and aware of during a particular sign and phase in your life when it comes to the progressed moon. So it also deals with certain emotional challenges and emotional experiences that you have regarding the full spectrum of emotions: joy, bliss, contentment, sad, anger, all those kind of things like that. And maybe you are in a progressed moon sign that is very unfamiliar to you, and it is not easy for you, and it requires you to sort of adjust and sort of get into how that sign operates and feels on an emotional level. So there is something to the fact that if maybe your progressed moon is in an air sign, then the progressed moon in the air signs may be more easier for you. It may be easier because it's more familiar. You're more, used to and attuned to that territory. You can operate an emotional level much more easier, in an easier way. However, if your progressed moon is in a water sign and you don't have a ton of water in your chart, it might be more unfamiliar and more challenging to get into. And it might be a new landscape that you have to sort of get into and accumulate, or or get into and work with. And so that also matters as well. So it deals with the motivations behind your actions, the emotional motivations and the intentions behind why you do what you do, why you want what you want on a feeling level during that given 2.5 year period. And the quality of your music, given whatever sign and placement it is. Is the music slow and calm, or is it, bombastic? And, that's all related to whatever sign it is. Are you in for a smoother, calmer, more gentle, peaceful, grounded ride, or a much more energetic and loud and more wild ride? And so, that's also what is going on when it comes to the progressed moon. I really hope that this video was very informative and insightful, and it gave you a lot of good information. And I'll see you in another video.